And ladies and gentlemen, we're live. This is Till 5 Wrestling Podcast, episode 3. We're the Bad Boys Pod. I'm the notorious ATB.
And I'm just 10 credible.
We're here tonight for 5 great segments. I've got to say that we have to start out with the pay-per-view.
Yep.
But when we get into Dynamite as well, oh, we are so excited for that one.
Man, we've got a lot to talk about today, so let's get right into it.
Yeah, we're going straight into this all-out recap here and review, to be fair. So, we had the pre-show on this event. What did we have? We had the Acclaimed versus...
So we started the show with the Acclaimed with Billy Gunn versus the Iron Savages.
Titty City. So, of course, the Acclaimed win again because the seasonal tag team jobber team is Iron Savages.
Right.
And then from there, we got into a hologram.
We go to a pretty fun match.
Yeah, a nice little trios match.
Yeah, hologram is really over.
I can see why. He's really good.
He's very talented.
Yeah.
But hologram, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes versus the premier athletes, Tony Nese, Ari Daivari, and Josh Woods.
We don't need to tell you who won that match because the premier athletes are also part of the Job Squad.
Seasonal Job Squad.
Yeah.
Speaking of seasonal Job Squad, let's get into the Dark Order versus the Bang Bang Gang.
I don't even think the Dark Order qualifies as seasonal at this point.
They've been the Job Squad.
Yeah, they are the OG JOB squad. Yeah. But they lost to the Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Gang, Juice Robinson, and the Gun Club.
Yep. Guns up.
We love the Gun Club.
Yes, we do.
And then from there, we went into, what was the Undisputed Kingdom?
You've got Taven Bennett and Roderick Strong versus the Beast Mortos, Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty versus Action Andretti and Top Flight.
It was such a weird trios combination there.
Yeah.
I love Mordos.
Mordos is a lot
the
of
more
fun.
Mordos I see, the more
He's
I enjoy
a lot
him.
of fun, man.
I really like where they're going with him, building him up as a performer and moving him up the card slowly but surely.
Very agile monster.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. And Top Flight, I really feel like they seem to finally getting back on track.
Absolutely.
Because they've had the injuries that slowed them down.
You know, and that, I hate to cut you off there,
You're
but
good.
we're going to go on a little tangent real quick. The AEW tag division right now desperately needs to push guys like Top Guns, especially Private Party. Especially Private Party. The tag division is weaker than it's ever been, and we've got to get some new teams in there.
Well, look at who the new number one contenders for the tag team titles are. 2 guys that are on a tag team.
Right.
That's some very WWE booking.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get
Get into that. Sorry, go ahead.
You're good. Like I was saying, I do like Top Flight. The addition of Leo Rush has gave them someone else to alternate in for a trios team there.
Glad they worked that out. Leo was able to come back and do his thing.
And then now we might be a little biased because locally we had some stuff going on as far as the actual pay-per-view went. So it might not have been as exciting to us as it was to some viewers.
Right.
But the opening match, we had Daniel Garcia and MJF. I really wanted it to be better than it was.
That did not pan out the way I'd hoped.
No,
in my opinion.
It didn't work out the way that I had hoped it would as far as storytelling.
Yeah.
I feel a little weird with MJF going over and then getting destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
We just got MJF back. Why do we need to take him out again?
Yeah.
And that really didn't.
It seems to me that maybe they brought him back a little prematurely.
Yeah. To try and boost the ratings maybe a little. I don't know. But
we then go into the Young Bucks defending the tag team championships against the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio and Yuta.
Yeah. And I mean, of course the Bucks won again.
Serviceable.
Yeah, another serviceable match by the Young Bucks.
Nothing fancy.
I'm glad to see that they're gonna have somebody to elevate them soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from there we went into one of the men who will elevate anybody he's in the ring with.
I'm thinking it is my favorite match on the card. Will Ospreay versus Pac.
Okay. Okay. I will agree with that. It is probably my favorite match because there was there was extenuating circumstances with the main event that made it go down for me.
So it was one of 3 matches that I thought were notable enough to discuss, and we'll get into the other one. But Will Ospreay and Pac, great match. To be honest with you, especially knowing what we know now going into the Dynamite, I really wish Pac would have won that belt.
Yeah, and
I really do.
I feel like Pac could run with it for a little bit, especially while we're building up this new version of the Pac-Pull Combat Club.
If that's what we're going to go with, we might not go with that name.
Yeah, I do like the Bastard Combat Club, but
I like it. They could get away from Combat Club in general right now and go in a whole new route.
They could just go by the Bastards.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be a blast.
Yep, there you go.
Violent Bastards, because John Moxley is Mr. Violence.
Gentleman. You know what, man? I like that. The Violent Bastards, and that's what we're calling them. You heard it here first on Teal 5 Wrestling.
Yeah, you're welcome, Tony Khan. You can have that one for free. Next one will cost.
That's for you.
Yeah.
So then we go to the Chicago Street Fight. Chris Statlander with the great Stokely Hathaway versus Willow Nightingale.
I really like Willow. We know this.
Yep.
That match was fun. I didn't really understand the whole thumbtacks spot.
Yikes.
That didn't make sense.
I kind of get what they were doing. They were trying to do something a little original.
Yeah, but that didn't work for me, brother.
I understand.
Yeah.
Let's get into the 4-way. This is one of the notable matches I was talking about. I really enjoyed this match.
It was a lot of fun as a precursor to what's coming next, as far as
the next chapter of Okada versus Takeshita, which it should, I hope, is the start of something phenomenal that we'll all talk about 10 years from now.
Yeah, I think that it will be.
Yeah, I agree.
2 guys. And that's not a knock on Mark Briscoe or Orange Cassidy.
No. Orange was the workhorse of AEW for so long.
And Mark and Jay were workhorses for years, and now Mark has really carried on that legacy on his own and made a name for himself.
Them boys.
Yes.
Top 5 dead or alive.
So, and still top 5 tag teams ever.
Yep.
We will cover a top 5 from Till 5 at some point.
Absolutely.
Yes. And from there we go into Mercedes Moné and Hikaru Shida. I like Shida, but that match, I don't like Mercedes Moné.
It makes me really sad that Hikaru Shida has become the job queen of the women's division, because I think she is so talented.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
And then we had the match where we tried to move Jack Perry up without making Danielson look weak.
Listen, honestly, I think Jack sold the Danielson's knee better than anybody I've ever seen on the sale for the finish in that match.
But I feel like Jack's story got overshadowed really bad by what came after that match.
Yeah.
The whole Moxley and them turning on him, I'm fine with. Honestly, I don't care about the bag thing. It's wrestling. We all know how easily Danielson could have tore through the bag.
Listen, a lot of you might know this. I'm a big ECW mark. The bag thing didn't bother me. But what I will say, and it's not that it bothered me because it was gruesome or violent, the hypodermic needle spot will go down to me as one of the most unnecessary spots in wrestling history.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We both cover
that.
We'll
go.
But I want to compliment one really great scene to me with the entire Danielson thing is you had Moxley basically kissing him goodbye.
Yep.
Claudio taking that kill shot, Yuta being shocked, and Pac being the bastard that didn't even look at it happening and holding him with a straight face as Yuta screams for his mentor.
Even down to the small, subtle detail of Mox giving the nod to Claudio right before the uppercut.
Yeah, like it was done perfect.
Like a movie scene.
Yeah, and that is a big thing that I like about AEW's current product.
Kind of designed like a mafia hit, like a mafia style hit. I really liked that.
It was a, Brian, you said you were leaving and you didn't. Now we're going to have to send you out because this isn't your company.
We goes on to say that Brian doesn't have the stomach for what's coming next, and we'll get into that maybe a little later.
But main event technically was a lights out match that was not sanctioned
in a steel cage.
with a referee.
Which I actually think the steel cage hurt the match more than helped it.
I was fine with the steel cage. I think that we honestly could have just left the referee out of it. That would have sold this so much better.
See, that's my problem with unsanctioned matches. We're still having referees.
Yep.
Okay, I don't.
Yeah.
That doesn't do it for me, brother. That doesn't work for me, brother.
If you wanted to have somebody that was not a referee but a enforcer in there, that would work for me.
Yeah, man. Jeff Jarrett could have totally enforced that match.
I don't know that Jeff would have really worked because of the story there with Hangman, but
We're getting there,
you could
too.
have found somebody.
Yep.
I mean, you could have put in Brian Cage. He had issues with both of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of Brian Cage, we decided to extend this all the way up until our live that's coming up on September 27th. We're going to have a very special Sweeter by the Dozen round table from the Knights of the Squared Circle, where we're going to discuss all 12 of Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness's matches against each other. We're going to have Professor Bear with us.
That's right.
Juicebox will be joining us. Juicebox will actually be live for match number 12 in Arthur Ashe to see that himself. He was actually telling me he was a little disappointed that was the match because he was looking forward to Darby and Danielson.
Really?
He is a big Darby fan.
As much as I appreciate and respect Darby, I'm never going to be disappointed when Nigel's in a wrestling ring.
I get that, especially for me and you.
Yeah.
But Juicebox was also at the Final Countdown match between Danielson and Nigel in New York.
So he saw prime time. Baby.
Yeah, he has seen several of the matches between them. So I think his insight will be really good for us to discuss.
Now, before we move on, let's continue on here at Hangman and Swerve. This match, to me, I enjoyed it. Okay, it was a fine match. Nothing, just exactly what you'd expect from Hangman and Swerve. They've had an excellent feud, some of the best storytelling in AEW history.
Very cinematic.
Very cinematic yet again, which I love.
Yeah.
I love. And look, man, there's some really unnecessary stuff. They attempted to up the ante, obviously, because once you've drank someone's blood in one of your matches, where do you go from there?
You burn down their childhood home.
Burn down their house and stab them in the mouth with a hypodermic needle.
And it's not that I found it more gruesome than I needed, because to me, I feel like it was a wasted spot because you couldn't see it that well on camera.
It just didn't do it for me.
No, like there was nothing. I mean, at this point, I guess he could go get him a piercing put in it and be cool with the dimple piercing.
Why would that hurt more than glass or thumbtacks? It's just it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I don't understand why that was such a shocker. Now, to me, that chair shot was sickening. I didn't need to see it. I haven't needed to see that kind of a chair shot in a long time. So I just, that one really bothered. That soured the entire match for me.
I don't care if the chair was gimmicked or whatever they want to call it. That man took a brutal chair shot to the head. And I wish there was no place for that in wrestling today, honestly.
And let me say that people can say, well, kids are, it's not for the kids, it's for the sickos. That's fine. But you're telling me that just because someone's 19 years old, that they're not going to see this and get stupid with their friends and smash each other in the head with a steel chair?
I know I would.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So there are going to be grown adults that copy this and end up hurting themselves because they don't stop to think about how stupid of a decision it is.
CTE is a serious issue in the sport, and I wish that it was looked at a little more fondly by pro wrestling and other sports even.
Well, even AEW, I get that they have a great concussion protocol, but there was no need for that spot.
There's no reason to hand them out just for shits and giggles.
There was no need to have a real cinder block in there.
Sorry for cursing.
I didn't even notice. You're good, bro. So I get why they did it. It looked better, but why do you want to potentially permanently injure yourself just to make something look 5% better.
Yeah.
Because
and it was. We're dealing with like 5%.
Yeah,
really.
a 5% difference.
Maybe less.
Yeah.
They could have done a million different things, and the chair shot to the head to me was not the right answer.
Yeah. Why didn't you just put his head in the chair and just slam him into the turnbuckle over and over? You could have done that and made it look great. You could have had some fake blood or real blood coming out of Swerve's mouth and sold that great.
When you just put his head in a chair,
yeah,
like the old style, and
well,
you can gimmick that.
Yeah, you could have done a lot of different chair spots,
and it would have looked more brutal to me.
But instead, we decided to go for that shock value, and then we had the super short post show where Tony Khan basically just said, "Yeah, there's a new show coming, but I can't talk about it. We've almost got a TV deal, but I can't talk about it." Then he got on a plane and went to football. So then they had Dynamite this week.
I really enjoyed this week's Dynamite.
It was a blast.
It was a great show.
You know, you had Jack Perry and that scapegoat bus coming in.
I love that he just drives that from arena to arena.
Yeah. And I like Taz's commentary about the smoke coming out the back of it. Yeah. Like a Gone in 30 Seconds Jones there.
I mean, so Hangman shows up backstage. He's getting interviewed by Marvez.
Yeah.
Correct. And he just sees relics from the past. He's top flight. They're obviously they don't care about
He sees the Dark Order.
He sees the Dark Order, which is a great callback
to several different moments. And you know, you had the Dark Order acknowledging that he's not who he used to be, which is ironic considering they kind of went through a similar change.
This is exactly what Hangman has needed for a long, long time.
It is. And I loved the stare down with Jeff Jarrett.
This is going to lead to a very fun match.
Yeah, I'm honestly looking forward to that match probably more than the Swerve Hangman lived up to be.
You know, I'm the biggest Jeff Jarrett fan ever. I love Double J Jeff Jarrett. I think that this would be a fine way to send Jeff Jarrett off if he's ready.
I don't want to send him off, man.
I don't want to send him off ever, but at some point we're going to have to.
Yeah. So then we also had Moxley's explanation of
the show starts with this fantastic movie shoot type vignette of Moxley, or whatever they're calling their group now, walking out of the arena and explaining what he did. He goes on to say, you know, I hope that we don't think he enjoyed that because he didn't. It just needed to be done.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm really interested to see where this goes, where we get more of this it's not your show anymore storyline. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I felt that the whole Danielson's not going to be able to wrestle you, Darby, so I'm going to wrestle you for the match that you were supposed to have.
That's a little strange.
That's a little weird.
I'm not upset about it.
I feel like we could have just made the Darby match be for Wrestle Dream.
Because you know what?
And skip the entire Darby supposed to get a title match.
I'm not upset about it, though, because everything's sweeter by the dozen.
It is sweeter by the dozen.
It is sweeter by the dozen.
Just like our live will be, because we're going to get another Danielson and Nigel match. Yep. But we had the tag team gauntlet.
Yes, we did, which was a lot of fun.
It was a blast. Really kind of shocking to see Ospreay and Fletcher get the win, because we have some tag teams that I feel like it could have been better if they had won it.
I understand Grizzled Young Vets and FTR fought to the back. That disappointed me. I'm a big Grizzled Young Vets fan. Huge pop for the Outrunners at Rupp Arena. My God, those guys are over.
Well, I mean, they're semi-local.
Speaking of over, MXM Collection was also in the...
Yeah, and not just the tip.
Yep.
Yeah. And I liked their interaction with the Acclaimed.
Yep.
You know, it's scissors against tip.
That's going to be a fun...
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I am enjoying that for the Acclaimed. It's not quite where I would have took them, but it's fun.
Give them a break from the title scene, and I definitely, for one, am tired of that.
Yeah. I think honestly I would have been fine with the Undisputed Kingdom
Yeah, man.
winning that match.
Taven and Bennett's really talented. I
Yeah.
feel like we really used them as a job team.
Yeah, that could have been a fun match to have tossed on the Wrestle Dream.
Very good.
Or Arthur Ashe, I think it is. Yeah.
Well,
speaking of Arthur Ashe, we're gonna have the 12th match of Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness 1-on-1. We're going to see them, I believe, for the 9th time in the United States or in American broadcast because of Ring of Honor's DVD situation.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they had a couple of matches over in Europe and Germany. But we're going to discuss the entirety of that legacy between those two men in that live special on September 27th.
We're going to go in depth on it.
Yeah.
We're really going to dig deep on Nigel and Danielson here.
Yeah. That's why next week we're going to do a ring of history about Bryan Danielson.
That's right.
Yeah. So then we had Ricochet again in action.
Yeah, Ricochet versus Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
In a match that I like to call who can perform the biggest high spot in an 8-minute match.
And I loved the crowd for Flippy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Flip forever.
Yeah.
Great.
If there has ever been a better moment for Flip Gordon to just happen to be in the house, right there was it.
Flip Gordon. What could have been?
At some point we will cover some of these guys who could have been a contender.
Whoa.
Could have been better than they ended up getting in their career.
Poor Flip.
Especially Flip and Marty.
Yeah. Oh, Marty.
Yeah. I really think Marty could have been right up there with Danielson.
Marty could have been a really big deal.
Yeah.
Should have been a really big deal.
But for me, the highlight was definitely Nigel's announcement in Lexington. And that's one, pal.
That's one.
So our next segment is going to be a Wrestle Swap. We'll be discussing a trade situation, if you will. We're gonna swap two solo stars in a tag team from WWE to AEW and give them a short-term story before they come back over to their home company.
Okay.
So, Tanner, why don't you start with your tag team?
So, for my tag team, going from WWE to AEW?
Yeah.
I'm going to select the obvious choice. We're going Gallows and Anderson.
Okay.
And do I start the story there, or should I go ahead and name the other two solos? Because one of the solos correlates.
You can go ahead and name the solos.
So one of the solos is AJ Styles, of course, and the other is Shinsuke Nakamura.
Okay.
Which is the four guys that if we were going to do a trade scenario, that's who I would send to AEW, because there's so many storyline potentials on the other side of the pond for those guys.
Okay.
So here we go. The Elite's doing their thing. Okay. They're being big time heels, cocky EVPs, all this stuff, but they've lost touch with their old selves. So they get a phone call, and it doesn't reveal who it is on the show, but they're stunned. And they're like, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "I'm going to be there next Dynamite. Something's wrong. You guys need to get it together."
So can we hear who it is?
It's AJ Styles.
Okay.
So AJ Styles shows up on the next Dynamite. Comes out, he cuts a promo about how all of his friends he's been watching for the whole time AEW has been going, and his friends, the Young Bucks, have lost it. Okay? The Young Bucks come out with Okada and Jack Perry, and they, obviously run AJ down. They tell him he's an idiot, this and that. Why is he even here? AJ says, "If you thought I was stupid enough to come alone, I didn't." The Good Brothers come out. They have a little stare down, and then Okada calls him the B word, and then they say, "Well, you're still outnumbered by one." Music hits. Shinsuke comes out. Very well friends with Okada. Great feud. And you go into that. I'm leading to a 4-on-4 blood and guts between, we'll call them the OC and Shinsuke versus the Elite.
Okay. So who goes over before they leave?
If they're going back, Okada gets the pinfall on Shinsuke.
Okay. So we're gonna give Okada a big.
We're gonna give Okada the elevation
Okay.
out of this.
So how about I take it the other way?
Take it the other way.
I'll take the Young Bucks and Dustin Rhodes and Kenny Omega and bring them over to SmackDown. Obviously, we're going to let Dustin be with Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're there, we're going to go ahead and call up Brian Pillman Jr.
Okay.
So Brian Pillman Jr., Dustin, and Cody are going to have a little bit of a rivalry for a few months with the Elite, because we're going to give Dustin a goodbye here. Like we'll let that run for about 2 months.
Hall of Fame induction.
Dustin's Hall of Fame induction would come. So when we get through their second trios match, so to speak, we will have Brian Pillman Jr. and Cody Rhodes and Ethan Page be standing over a laid out Dustin Rhodes, because Cody is going to bury his brother at WrestleMania. We will let Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes main event WrestleMania.
Wow.
With a buried alive match.
Really?
Why not?
Okay.
Let's let those Rhodes brothers main event with something wild.
They'll deliver.
They would. And then you also get the opportunity to have Ethan Page and Brian Pillman Jr.
Or Sean Spears.
And you let that, but heck, even bring them all three and let them take on the Elite going into WrestleMania.
There you go. There's a new 4 horsemen for you. Cody, Spears, Pillman, and...
Yeah. There's a 4 horsemen to carry us on into 2025. Right there. And
Horseman versus Bloodline. We could go a lot of ways with that one. I like that.
We could have a lot of fun.
You can go a lot of ways
now
with
that's something that we'll get into at another point with a flip side face off in the future. You know, we're gonna have some faction warfare coming up, stuff like that. I'm even going to be partaking in a live with a former co-host or a former person that we helped out with some episodes back in the day. I won't say co-host. This is my co-host. This is my bruh.
I'd really like to. I'm glad you mentioned Flipside Face Off, because if you don't mind here, I'd like to go on another tangent. We're going to do something different. We're going to be 2 Tangent Tanny tonight. And I'd like to say that all the ideas that you see here on Till 5 Wrestling are original. Now, as you know, just like in other forms of media, there's going to be cheap ripoffs. But to those cheap ripoffs, we say thank you, because you're obviously really big fans of our show. And so that's pretty much all I have to say about that, unless you have something to add.
You know what? Since he's such a big fan, I'll be sure to help him out with that round table. You know, it's because we like to give back to the community. It's what we do.
We like to Joe for the gold.
You know what? That's like a really fun segment.
It sure did, didn't it?
Sure did. It sure did, didn't it?
Play on words, maybe. Yeah. Fix my accident.
All right, and that's 2, pal. So we want to give a special shout out to our good friend Crander at Red Ape Graphics, because Crander has helped us out with some of our new Till 5 logos that we've been working on. Some of the stuff that you can purchase, and you can even see it laid out on our desk here. We've got mugs, we've got magnets, we've got stickers, we've got shirts like the one Tan's wearing. Crander has helped us design all of this, and we just want to make sure that everybody knows that you can find that on all of our social at Redbubble and Teespring, or I guess it's just Spring now.
Yep.
But Crander's got some great designs that you can find, and his Friends of the Squared Circle page is a great group to get in touch with.
Yep.
If you want some other wrestling podcasts. And so what's our next segment? I'm drawing a blank. I got off into Cranderland. Oh, gosh, that's lame of me. What was our segment?
Hall of Lame.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Woo!
Okay. So our Hall of Lame, we've got 3 inductees that we feel like are just pitiful gimmicks. This is not a knock on the performer, not a knock on the person, just where the gimmick went.
That's your disclaimer.
Yeah,
That one.
yeah. So first off, I'm going to go into the one that was given to us by a fan, a Master Sergeant mustache, if you will. Looking at you, BN. So, the Boogeyman.
Hide your rotisserie chickens.
Yeah. And your rotisserie chickens and your earthworms, because the Boogeyman's coming to get you. So, it was always a really goofy gimmick.
Right.
I never did like the smashing the clock on his own forehead.
No, that was really odd.
Why did we have a man eating real worms?
Yeah,
I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
By all accounts, he's a super nice guy. You can actually get his autograph on a lot of Facebook auctions. But
if you can get him quick enough.
Yeah, if you can get in there quick enough, there are some Facebook auctions. You can get a Boogeyman autograph for about $10. You can get a Big Vito one.
You can get a Big Vito autograph. We love Big Vito.
Yeah, Vito is the man. As you saw last week, we loved him with the Mama Lukes back in the day.
Yep, good callback.
Yeah. They call me the notorious callback.
Captain Callback.
Yeah. So also in the Hall of Lame, we had your pick.
Yes, the Goon.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the Goon. This will be a quick one. So the Goon was a hockey player, disgruntled hockey player who was kicked out of the league for being too violent.
Uh-huh.
So the only place he could go to work is the World Wrestling Federation.
Mm-hmm. It seems to me like a mental institution would have been better.
And that is about all there is to say about the Goon.
Yeah.
Honestly, he really didn't do anything notable. He did return, actually. This is a fun fact. I don't know if you know this. In 2007, there was a battle royal for an anniversary of Raw. I believe it was the 15th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. And the Goon appeared in a battle royal, which also featured Skinner, Steve Blackman, and a bunch of other just random people.
Okay.
Yep. There you go.
So, but it's sad that is the only fun facts that we can talk about with the Goon.
It really is,
So,
and it's 15 years after his run.
There's going to be a lot more that we can discuss when we get to that Sweeter by the Dozen Live. Like how the first person that you brought in was very reminiscent of our third member of the Hall of Fame, the Genius.
The Genius.
Because it's not a knock on Lanny Poffo. Poffo.
Lanny is the man. I think it's Poffo. I'm pretty sure.
Well, Leaping Lanny, as it was.
Leaping Lanny was the man.
He was a fine performer.
Yep.
But the
Fine
Genius character was really just stupid to me. And not in a fun way. I get why he did it for the Heavenly Bodies, but the Heavenly Bodies suck too. So I didn't understand the purpose of it. And if you're going to claim to be a genius, you really should be smart. And if you're going to claim to be a professor, maybe you should actually have a degree. Maybe you should be a professor. Maybe you shouldn't invite somebody who claims to be a bear who's just a dude in Tennessee onto our live without talking to me first.
I respect Professor Bear a great deal. I love Professor Bear. He's going to be awesome on the show. He will be the first guest here on TL5, combined with a couple others, but we'll call him the first. And to be honest with you, I think you're just a little jealous that he's smarter than you. And he knows a lot more about wrestling history than you.
No. See, he can lie to Tan better than I can. I may be notorious, but I'm not a notorious liar, okay? I'm not a professor. I am a college graduate, though.
Notoriously not as smart as Professor Bear.
And he's not a real professor, nor is he a real bear. Okay? He's not even smarter than the average bear.
He's not a bear?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know about his personal life.
That's not where I was going with that, but okay.
That's where it went, buddy.
Oopsies. We've done it again. Every week I have a blunder.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're the one that's high on a four-way.
Okay, Green Hop Company.
Yeah, you know what? Pin me, pay me, okay? I'm just doing the job here.
And
so here we are with Green Hemp Company. You can get a hold of them at greenhempcompany@gmail.com. While they're in the foothills of the Smokies, they're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sundays, they're open noon until 6 p.m. You can go in there, make sure to get you some pre-rolled joints, some cereal bars, maybe even enjoy you a couple of gummies. But either way, I highly recommend their products for an assistance with medicinal pain that is not taking a narcotic. That is my big thing. You're not taking something illegal. You're not taking something that's going to ruin you to be able to function. This is something that will help you with pain, anxiety, depression. It can be very beneficial to your everyday life. And that is the big reason that I'm happy to have them as a sponsor, because they have been a great assistance in helping to better my life as far as emotional needs, because mental health matters, as we have seen quite a bit with social media as of late and all of the events going on.
Right.
Now, we're back. Pardon me.
It's all right. You're pardoned.
And that's segment number 3 taken care of. So let's get into segment number 4, where we have a wrestle swap.
Yes.
Oh,
it's a blind bag special.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still in the hallway.
It's a blind bag special, folks. And this time, a segment so nice, we had to do it twice.
Yes.
And this time,
we're doing a WWE Tag Team Edition.
That's correct.
Where we will each be drawing 2 names to put in the WWE's Tag Team Division right here out of our special Black Brown Bag Special.
Brown Bag Special. Sponsored by Teal 5 Wrestling. Get your merch on Redbubble today.
Yeah. And Teespring. You can get the Sweet Hope Edition Teal 5 stickers. You can get the Podalicious stickers.
Do you like mugs?
We've got mugs. We've got rookie cards. We don't really have rookie cards.
We could, though, if you want it.
Yeah, maybe we can.
We could, though,
if you want a rookie card, we will hook you up with a Teal 5 rookie card. Just make sure that you want the Notorious one first. Because, all of this ends up being proceeds to us and our production values. Yep. Everything here, we get a very tiny bit. I guarantee you that no more than 20% of what you're paying is going into our pockets. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have everything set at 10% or less.
And to be honest with you, if you're tired of seeing a Goldberg bear and a Goldberg cup, buy a t-shirt. We can afford better stuff for the table.
Well, look, Bill Goldberg is my favorite professional wrestler, and Bret Hart is my second favorite professional wrestler. Just like Gunther.
We're going to put that right there for the rest of the show.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No. We're going to put this right here. Yeah. Don't forget that that autograph will be available in a special giveaway during our live here in a couple of weeks. Now, let's get to drawing these tag teams, buddy.
All right. I'll get us started, my friend.
Yeah, we're just making a mess now.
We are making a mess.
All right, so I'm drawing Carl Anderson.
Well, I hope you pull Luke Gallows out.
Yeah,
next.
we're pulling double duty with the Good Brothers here.
All right, let's see who I get on the first round. If I got Luke Gallows
and
AJ Styles.
Wow,
all B.
All right. So what's this? Randy Orton is going to be with Carl Anderson. All right. That came out of nowhere.
The Cutter Brothers.
Hey, that works.
I shouldn't be giving you ideas.
No, you shouldn't.
Command strip. Duke Hudson from NXT.
Oh, wow. I hate that for you.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So, obviously, we're going to do... I know what it can be. I've got this story taken care of.
Please.
All right. So the Good Brothers are already competing in NXT occasionally.
Yep.
They're going to take on Chase U. Ain't that Duke Hudson? And
that's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Andre Chase, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So they're taking them on. And Gallows ends up injuring Andre Chase.
And then Gallows gets injured.
And then AJ gets upset and he ends up shoving Gallows, and Gallows gets hurt too. So we get AJ and Duke Hudson becoming big buddies, and Carl Anderson wondering why he got stabbed in the back, why his friend would betray him. And that is why Randy Orton steps in to take him under his wing and teach him how to do a proper RKO. And that's where they become the Cutter Brothers.
The Cutter Brothers versus Styles University.
Styles University is going to go down in flames.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've destroyed this one.
Yeah.
You've home run this.
Yeah, and then Carl Anderson, at the end of it, Carl Anderson can hit a Carl Cutter out of nowhere.
Carl Cutter into an RKO, into a double Carl Cutter RKO combo.
Okay.
Which is a 3D with extra steps.
Anyways, at the end of this, they will have the opportunity to push Carl Anderson as a solo star.
If they want.
Yeah. Or bring back Gallows, reunite them. Either way, it gives all of these guys something to build on and go from, and it helps Orton have a decent storyline that he doesn't have to carry all the weight on because it's a tag team situation.
Bingo.
Yeah. So that's 4.
That's 4.
And that brings us to our 5th and final segment, our Royal review of the Battle Royal at the Royal Albert Hall. Now, first off, thanks to Nick Opaleski.
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. Sorry if we butchered that,
yeah,
Nick.
sorry.
We appreciate you nonetheless.
I tried to keep that W silent.
Yep.
We thank you for your messages, and we thank you for introducing us to the show, because we had never seen this Battle Royal at Royal Albert Hall.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, especially I really love the production value on it.
We'll get into that.
Well,
that was really cool.
I love the way that they established they would bring do a backstage interview and then bring one of them out to ringside.
Yep.
So I feel like out of the 10 stars that we're going to rate this, I feel like we should automatically give it 1 for that, because that was some quality entertainment. Right
that's
there.
one. That's Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, that's 1 right there.
So I really enjoyed this. I told you that I liked the way the show was set up because it was so easy to follow. My girlfriend, the world famous Cyborg, is not a wrestling fan whatsoever. However, she watched this show with me, and it was so easy for her to follow. She could figure out pretty quickly who was the good guy, who was the bad guy. And honestly, if we're going to give it an extra star for production value, let's give it another extra star for Bobby and Gorilla, because those guys were great, man.
Bobby was on his best form.
Yes, he was.
Like, that was Bobby Heenan to a T. Anybody that's ever thought about being a wrestling manager, I feel like this is the great show to watch how to talk.
Yep.
Because Bobby was able to get over everybody on that card, and then Gorilla would come in with actual information. It worked perfect.
Some would say we're the gorilla in the brain of the podcasting community.
I'm Bobby the Brain here.
And I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah.
With a beard.
Yep. Well, I mean, he's got all of his hairs right here on his beard.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm getting there.
That's right.
But maybe I'll just start wearing a nice blonde wig like Bobby the Brain on the show every week.
Maybe you could.
Yeah, I could do that. Maybe I should see if I can get one custom made, like our mugs and our stickers.
We'll never stop shilling here on Till 5 Wrestling. Guys, go to
Till 5 Wrestling on Teespring, on Redbubble. I guarantee you that if you search that online as one word, you will find something to do with us.
That's right.
Be it our YouTube, our TikToks, our Instagram, our Facebook, our shops. You'll find us there.
It's a Till 5 takeover.
Yeah, a hostile takeover.
It's a hostile takeover.
It's kind of what we do. So
we shake things up.
Yeah, it's what we
just shake things up.
Yeah.
We bring the boom. That's what we do. We bring the boom to you.
Yeah. You know, that's because we're notoriously credible.
That's right.
That's
right.
That's just how it goes.
That's it.
Now, this show started off, you were talking about Cyborg. Let me just say that Mrs. Notorious was enjoying this event also, because she was laughing at Brian Knobs and Jerry Sags because she got a kick out of their names and the idea that they took people to Pity City and shoved faces in their armpits. And she enjoyed seeing a young Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty out there.
Yeah.
That sweet Jimmy Hart
That was
coat.
really cool. Speaking of the Rockers in this match, for all the wrestling fans out there that say the super kick did finish, it didn't finish in 91. Not in this contest.
Well, it wasn't established as a finisher yet, but you know what? When we can plan this out a little bit better, we'll discuss some of these finishers. Maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
We can discuss finishers that aren't really finishers anymore. You know, maybe the DDTs.
Maybe the Canadian Destroyer.
Yeah. But
that one makes me the most upset. Don't worry about that. Nasty Boys versus the Rockers.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the fact that, like most of the matches here, the heels won.
Yep.
Again.
Yep. Jimmy Hart interference, which you will hear us say a lot.
Yeah.
On the Royal Review.
Personally, I give that about a 2.5 out of 5.
So I went with a 3 on that one.
Okay.
And really, it was just nostalgia purposes for me, man. I really enjoyed seeing the Rockers. A young Shawn Michaels. He wasn't quite there yet, but you could see it.
Yeah. It was.
Looking back on
Even
it.
Marty looked really good back then.
When you look at some Marty clips from the early 90s and you don't know anything about Marty's personal life, you think, man, this guy had a lot of wasted potential.
Yeah, well, I even loved him back in WCW.
Yeah, Marty was fun. His ECW run was fun.
I never watched any of that.
He worked probably less than 10 matches, but he was fun.
Well, you know what? That's more matches than Garth Brooks played in baseball games.
There you go. And Aaron loves G. So we go on to the second contest. Well, first we should say that the Nasty Boys get a win here.
Yeah.
With Jimmy Hart, megaphone interference.
You did say that already. Actually.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
So nice I had to say it twice.
Yeah.
So the next match is
my favorite match on the show.
Also my favorite match.
Ric Flair and Tito, a jacked Tito Santana.
Wait, did you say Tito Santana?
Yes, I did.
Folks, we're up in the ante for the giveaway on this Brian Cage autograph. Because if you look on the back side of this Brian Cage autograph,
boom,
you see Tito Santana.
A Tito Santana WWF promo.
That's right. Intercontinental Champion.
Yep.
Tito Santana. So when you're comment hashtag TL5 Wrestling, let's remember that it's not just for the world.
No, it's also for Tito.
It's also for Tito.
It's a Tito takeover tonight on TL5.
I'm not going to attempt to say that, but you get the point. Tito Santana, folks.
And the Machine Brian Cage.
And the Machine Brian
Cage. Now,
Cage.
the great thing that I really liked about Tito is not only did he put on a really good match here with Flair, but this was like 6 months before he became El Matador.
Yep.
And had probably my favorite Tito Santana match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania.
Match.
It's especially given where Shawn and Marty went not long after this.
Yep.
Like to me, this was a lot of the prime athletic ability of some of these guys.
So we're in that really fun era about a year and a half before Monday Night Raw starts, where a lot of the big names are still around, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. You know, speaking of the big names, the next match, you had Earthquake and the Big Boss Man.
Oh, by the way, I rated match 2 4.
I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Yep.
You know, that's fine with me.
Sorry to cut you off.
You're good. You're good.
The ratings for Nikki.
Yes, it is. He
it's
did
all
have to
for you,
I was
Nikki.
just going to throw out an end of the whole thing number. Just
that's funny because you made me write down ratings for every match. So let's get into match 3, which was Earthquake once again with Jimmy Hart versus the Big Boss Man, a very young Big Boss Man.
Yeah, two big beefy boys.
Meet Madness live in 1991 at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah. You know, you had Earthquake there flying around pretty well for somebody his size. And Boss Man with those kicks.
That was a very fun match.
It was. It was entertaining to see Boss Man at this level and it not be another match with the Mountie, even though Mountie did get involved.
We'll get into the Mountie later.
Yeah.
Earthquake is not discussed enough. Earthquake is really cool. He's very agile at this point in 1991.
You know, back in the day, John Tenta was actually a really big fan of social media.
Really?
Yes, he was. He was on the old WrestleCrap forums.
What could have been?
Yeah, and he would talk about wrestling with fans all day long. Now, WrestleCrap, I feel like that's the kind of thing that we're going to have to discuss. Some of this crappy merchandise that these companies have made.
Oh, that's another segment for another day.
Like this. Like he wants to hate on this Goldberg bear, but you know what? I love it. It's wonderful.
Okay. So I gave the Earthquake and Big Boss Man match 3 stars. I enjoyed it. Nothing special. Routine big man match from the early 90s, but it popped me for nostalgia purposes.
I'll give it a 3.
Okay, that's where I went.
It was nothing amazing.
So next we go to the match that I think I was most excited for, but I was also most let down by.
So full disclosure, Tan watched it before I did.
Yeah.
And he told me that there was a 5-minute long sleeper hold.
Well, and that turned into another 3.5 minute long sleeper hold.
I didn't believe that he was like serious. And then I watched it and there was an 8.5 minute long sleeper hold back
sequence. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Kerry was probably going through some issues at this point in his career. And this was just a quick throwaway that neither one of us really even cared much for. Probably the worst match on the card that really had an ending.
I won't say, well, that had an ending. Yeah. Okay. But once again, I feel like we should note that the Mountie was brought to the ring by Jimmy Hart.
And another sweet jacket.
And another sweet jacket.
Jimmy was putting the miles in, running back and forth.
Jimmy was having some fun. You know, I didn't even notice that until I went back to watch a little bit more of it. And I was like, Jimmy does have different jackets on at different points during the show.
Yeah, like he would go back, somebody else would be getting interviewed, and he'd change coats.
As fans of the show will get to know over the course of time, I am a die-hard Mountie fan. I love Jacques Rougeau. I love the Mountie. I love it. But unfortunately,
and he could totally beat up Chuck Norris.
He could totally kick the crap out of Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
You know what? Unfortunately, I have to give this match a 1.5 out of 5.
I'm gonna side with you there. I might give it a touch better with a 2, just because I was somewhat more pleased with Kerry than I guess you were.
Kerry looked great.
Yeah, he looked great.
He looked great.
Except he looked like he'd done a few lines before it came out.
Listen, I'm not going to give a match anything over 2. Really, my half was generous. And it's because I love the Mountie. I'm not going to grade a match a little higher than it should be if there's an 8.5 minute sleeper hold.
Fair enough. So from there, we go into the Undertaker's segment backstage with Paul Bearer, where they have this cool little graveyard, then a face painted
Paul Bearer's great
Phantom of the Opera playing him in, which sounded really cool and was probably great in theory, but then they painted his mask on and it didn't quite work for me, brother.
Now, I love Paul Bearer as well. Paul Bearer is a lot of fun, but now granted, we're a little early into the Paul Bearer run. He's not quite there yet.
Because Taker was with Brother Love a lot.
And the same with Undertaker. He's not quite there yet.
No. And you didn't want to have him lose, so you had a quick match where Hacksaw Jim Duggan whacked him with a 2x4 and got disqualified.
Yeah, nothing special.
I'm giving it a 1.
1 star.
1 star. Really not worth it, pal.
Now the next match, I'm really glad that when we talked about it a little later, we both had the same idea on this match. Was the Legion of Doom versus Power and Glory.
First off, Power and Glory are amazing. I don't understand why everybody wants to hate on Paul Roma so much. You know what? Let me be notorious.
We love you, Paul Roma.
I'm going to be notorious here. So Paul Roma deserves more respect than a lot of these 4 horsemen got. To me, Paul Roma is just as important in the history of the 4 horsemen as Sid Vicious was.
Lex Luger.
As Lex Luger was. As Dean Malenko was. As Brian Pillman was. As Steve McMichael was. Paul Roma was equally as important because he filled a role that was needed at the time. He was a heck of a performer. He wasn't that great on the microphone. Dude had a great look, though. How are we going to crap all over Paul Roma, but we're going to sing the praises of Tom Zink like he was a legend?
Yes,
we're going to sing the praises of
Ken Patera,
of Chris Kanyon. Yes, Kanyon was a talented performer, but he was not this GOAT.
I will not say anything negative about the innovator of offense, Chris Canyon,
I will. I'm
I
going to
won't.
say it because
or Mortis.
look, Mortis was fun. I'll give Mortis
That would be what you like.
Canyon was not a disappointment. Just Canyon was not. He was not a top 50 performer. For
Do
me.
you really want to hurt Canyon?
No,
Do you really want to make him cry?
no.
Well, okay, then let's talk about the Legion of Doom and Glory.
So it was a really fun match. I feel like they could have had a few more minutes.
Yeah, man, that is the only reason I didn't rate this match higher. I really wish this match would have gone longer.
Yeah.
Power and Glory should get more credit. Hercules Hernandez is fantastic also.
You know, Hernandez actually wrestled in WCW for a little bit as, what was it, the Ultimate Assassin or something like
that? Something like that.
Something really
Yeah.
silly.
But man, both of those guys are great. They had great looks. Again, I'm with you. I don't understand the Roma hate.
I don't get it, man.
Never did get it.
Yeah, but they, of course, they lost to LOD.
Roma was a worker a bit ahead of his time, and as you should. The Road Warrior pop was not as awesome as I'd hoped it was here at Albert Hall. Granted, it did say that there was audio issues at the start of the show. I did watch on Peacock. I assume you did as well. Okay.
But now,
so that's 3 stars for me.
Yeah, I'm going to give that 3 as well.
Love that.
Speaking of pops, though.
Wow. They were saving.
The next match was the British Bulldog against the Barbarian. First off, props to the Barbarian for being this high on the card.
Yep.
I'm actually a big mark for Barbarian, especially with his WCW era.
So this is post Powers of Pain Barbarian.
Yeah.
Okay, and they were trying a singles run for both of them.
Yeah.
It really didn't pan out for either guy that great, but Barbarian can say he headlined Royal Albert Hall before the Battle Royal.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that is the headline match.
Yep.
And Bulldog had a huge pop.
Yep.
That was amazing. That was very similar to the pop Nigel got at Wembley, just because it's Bulldog and it is England and it is the 90s. They went nuts for that man. Of course, he won in a quick match.
Yeah, a little quicker than it should have been yet again. I'm going to give it 2 stars.
I'll give it a 2.5.
Okay. Fair match. Nothing against it. I'm a big Bulldog fan. Barbarian, I do appreciate a little more when it's time for WCW.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The Faces of Fear was a lot more fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So let's get into the Battle Royal, the reason we're all here.
Yeah. First off, why is it that Roddy Piper is the only person that didn't have to work double duty?
Yeah, that I feel like we could have done better if, now granted, this is basically a house show.
Yeah, it is.
I would have preferred to see Roddy on the card.
You could have tossed anybody out there. In fact, why not put Roddy in there against the Mountie and just let Kerry Von Erich come out there and beat somebody from England?
Honestly,
in a quick score.
Roddy and the Mountie would have probably stolen the show had that happened.
Yeah, that would have been a lot more fun to me.
So Hercules comes out. I actually do appreciate this, that they continued the storyline here. So in 2 minutes and 26 seconds, according to the notes, Hercules was thrown out by Hawk to continue the match that happened earlier.
Well, that's back then. They did these European tours where they would have the same guys interacting over and over.
Continuity.
Yeah,
good
it was
stuff.
good continuity. So it
continuity.
worked.
Not like changing the day of your show.
Yeah, you know, we always record on Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
We post live. We post it early Friday mornings, so you can watch it at home. The distribution is coming for audio only with Spotify. We're working on that, getting that took care of. You know, our audio engineer Dave has made sure to remind us.
We made a mistake, brother.
What?
Roddy is not the only person that only worked this match.
Who else?
Typhoon worked the Battle Royal.
Why didn't Roddy face Typhoon? Why couldn't you have had Roddy and Boss Man against Earthquake and Typhoon?
Why not just do Roddy versus the Mountie and Texas Tornado versus Typhoon?
I mean, you could have had a natural disaster against a natural disaster right there.
There you go.
Yeah, it's like Twisters versus Typhoons.
There you go.
Yeah. So
interesting chair noise there.
So
about that, Dave.
We also continued some of the Tito and Rick issues back and forth very well. I really liked the selling of the Ric Flair and Roddy Piper from earlier on in the show. And then you had them interact in the Battle Royal because Piper was afraid, or Flair was afraid of Piper or what have you.
So here's an interesting tidbit of information. Do you know who lasted the longest in this match?
I'm assuming the Bulldog, since he won.
No, actually, it was Typhoon.
Oh, because he was eliminated last.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that makes sense then.
There you
That's
go.
kind of how it works.
He lasted the longest in the match,
I guess.
which is a fun fact.
So now after the match, though, you had a cheap moment with Typhoon and Earthquake.
Yep.
Cornering the Bulldog, like they're going to beat him up, and then it got to a very sad moment with Andre the Giant limping out with a cane.
That made me really sad. I was happy to see Andre. Don't
Yeah,
get me
it
wrong,
was.
but that wasn't.
I get the pop.
That made me sad.
Yeah, but Andre came out and made the save for Bulldog. All in all, I'll give that battle royal a 2.5.
Okay, and I will give it a 3. I thought it was fun.
Okay,
Thought it was fun.
so overall, we're giving it what do you say, a 5?
So we've done the averages.
Yeah.
Our math guy has been on the averages. Dave, thank you, Dave. So it's come out to a 5 out of 10, but that just
Till 5 gave it 5.
5 out of 10. Now that was unintentional, but that just didn't quite sit right with me.
No, because it
to
was
give
a
it
lot of fun.
50% because I really enjoyed the show. So, like you said earlier, we're adding 1 point for nostalgia purposes and the way that the setup and
Yeah,
the
that
show
they would
flowed.
introduce the performers
Right.
and then bring them out. Like that way, anybody watching could follow.
And the commentary team was so leagues above anyone else
Yeah.
that they're getting a point too, and that will bring this show up to 7 out of 10 stars here on Till 5 Wrestling.
Yeah. And that's 5, folks.
That's right.
So that'll do it for tonight. Make sure to tune in next Friday, or to listen to our podcast. Make sure to use hashtag Till5 to possibly pick up this sweet autograph. You can go on Redbubble and Teespring to get our sweet merchandise. You can contact us if there's particular shows you want to see. If there's any matches you want to see us review, if there's stuff you don't like, if you don't like Tanner's shirt, let us know. We'll get him to change it to something else.
Be quiet and enjoy wrestling. This has been Till 5.